So Jason, so for folks who may not be familiar with you, tell us about yourself. Where are you from? Hopes and dreams, ambitions, everything. How about where you're from? We'll start there.
All right, I'm from Seattle area, Seattle, Washington. Been out there for a while, and it's kind of where I hang out.
Okay, so you're currently there now.
What's that?
You live in Seattle now.
I do, yeah, a little bit north of Seattle, up there in the beautiful Pacific Northwest.
So how did you get involved with doing the Jason Voorhees fan films and stuff?
Yeah, so I heard about it through a friend. I heard that they're making a film called Mythos, and it was a Friday the 13th film. I didn't know anything about fan films. I didn't know what those were, and I just heard that they were doing it. And I'd been playing Jason Voorhees at a haunted house, where we're volunteering for the Shriners Children's Hospital and all that. And I always wanted to play the character, so I reached out to the director and said, "Hey, I'm interested in doing this." He said, "Sorry, we're filming out here in Idaho. We're only taking local people. We've got a long line of people. So, but thanks." So I didn't like that answer. I went ahead and I put my costume on, had my son go and film me, moving around and kind of going through the motions of Jason. Sent that back to the director a couple days later, and then another day or two passes, and the director calls me and says, "Okay, we're listening. Here's some script sides. Go act this out and send it back." And so we did that and went out in the driveway or the parking lot. My son filmed it again, sent it back to him, and the director called me back and said, "Okay, we all talked. We looked at the footage. You nailed it. We had this long line of people, and we gave them direction. We asked them to move a certain way, turn a certain way. Some did it, some couldn't, with direction. You're the first person to come in with the right size, the right build, and actually move without any direction whatsoever down it. So you got it." And then they flew me out to Idaho. We started filming the Mythos, which then was a short at the time. And but then with all the fan feedback and everything, people wanted a feature film. So then it got modified and evolved into Vengeance. And that's how that happened.
So you didn't like the intro note first, so you just decided to keep going for it, and eventually you got it. And that, kids, is how you don't take no for an answer.
Yes, make things
that
happen.
Is good.
Make it happen.
That is inspiring.
This is why I call my wife the Juggernaut, because there's no, and no is not in her vocabulary at all.
Nope.
Not even a little bit. So the fan film thing is really interesting to me. I don't know much about it. Hopefully you do. How do they get away with doing the fan film?
Yeah, that's the big question. So there's a lot of rules that are in place to kind of keep the IP safe and keep everyone in check. So one, you have to call it a fan film, put fan film in the title so there's no confusion between the studio releases and ours. And the other big thing is distribution. We can't profit off it. You can't go through major distribution, put it on streaming services like Netflix and Amazon, and or put it in Walmart and Target and whatever, and sell it and profit. So if we're not profiting, we're good. And we went ahead and with the first Vengeance, anything that we earned over and above actual production costs, we donated to charity. So we ended up giving $26,000 to the Shriners Children's Hospital.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I did not. That's actually really good to know.
Yeah.
That was.
So
Yeah,
are you guys allowed to put it on YouTube?
It's on
free?
YouTube. Yeah,
Okay.
It's free. And that was the other thing. It has to be available for free for audiences.
Okay.
So I have got Blu-rays and DVDs, and that we put on there for it could be crowdfunded. We raise money through Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and part of the perks were T-shirts and Blu-rays, DVDs, and all that. And we still have some now, at my table that we sell, but we're not. It's all going to production costs. And anytime I go do these events, the money that is raised at these events goes right back into the movie. So.
That is amazing to hear. How, like you were saying, the confusion, how to get the logistics, how to have the name, you have to have the fan film in there, you can still allow to do it. And so I actually checked out one of the was Vengeance on YouTube, I believe, right? And it's, I think way back in the day, the word fan film might have had a negative connotation. People might think it's super low budget, you have a bunch of no-namers and not a good film. But honestly, if it wasn't for the words fan film, I would have thought it was a theatrical release. I mean, you have both the ones you've done. You got Terry Kaiser back. You got Lark Park Lincoln. You got, I think even Diana Prince, who's Darcy with Joe Bob. I mean, it's not just because it's a fan film now doesn't mean it's like you're shooting someone's backyard. I would have thought I was watching a movie, like a theatrical movie. I mean, the production quality is that good. I mean, it really doesn't mean anything now when somebody makes a fan film.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and with Vengeance, we actually had a lot of the alumni and cast and crew people from former 80s horror films, like Tom McLaughlin, who wrote and directed Part 6. He helped advise on the story and helped with things, and he was our gravekeeper in the film. CJ Graham, who played Jason in Part 6, came back and played my father, Elias Voorhees. Steve Dash, who was Sackhead Jason in Part 2.
He was in Part 2,
Yeah, he was our sheriff in the film. Harry Manfredini, who scored all the films, he scored our film. Nick Strawn, who was the production designer for Nightmare on Elm Street 3, 4, Blade, Leatherface, Candyman, Boogie. He was our production designer, assistant director on the film. So we had all these industry people who just had a passion for Friday the 13th and wanted to come and make this film. And we had a great time doing it without the handcuffs of a studio. And then with the popularity of Vengeance, we went and did Rosebud, which is the one you were just talking about, which is a sequel to Part 7. So Vengeance, sequel to Part 6. Then another person, Peter Anthony, he wanted to make a sequel to Part 7. So we got some of the crew together again. And like you said, Lark Park Lincoln, Terry Kaiser, Kevin Spiritus. And these are all well-known people. Weekend at Bernie's. Terry Kaiser is Bernie. And Dr. Cruz in Part 7. Kevin Spiritus won so many Emmys for TV shows. And they're all happy to come back and reprise their roles and be a part of this. And then Vengeance 2. We have all the same people coming back. CJ Graham, Tom McLaughlin. Now we have Darcy DeMoss from Part 6, who is huge, and also Tamara Glenn, Halloween 5, Rob Mello from Happy Death Day, Paul Taylor, Pinhead, he's in there, Richard Ramone from the Ramones, and more. And it's like you mentioned Darcy. She was in Diana Prince. She was in the first one, Lover, Good Friend. I actually made her male girl costume for the show.
Okay.
A bit of trivia.
I know that.
Yeah. She called me up and she's like, "Oh, I know you're good at this stuff. I need to get a male girl costume. I'm bringing Joe Bob back. And would you help me make this costume?" So a couple of her cosplays I made on the show and her male girl costume that she wears.
How did we miss that casting call? That would have been amazing. That's like a horror all-stars lineup right there. Would have been amazing.
I miss everything because I just miss everything.
That should have been us.
I can't get into why because it's supposed to be PG, so I can't go there and do that.
PG-13. I had the disclaimer, Leo. We read the disclaimer. It's okay.
Yeah,
we say earmuffs before we. No.
There's a sign up there with a certain thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so now if you had the chance, would you do like a major production, or would you rather keep it indie? Because I'm hearing a lot about this. Like, there's a lot of I would rather stay indie because there's not the handcuffs, there's not rules. Like, we could do this and do that. It's just the lack of money that we have to save it up and do it ourselves. Like, for me, because I do indie films too, I'd rather do indie. I don't think I would ever do a major production. And I like to ask other people the same thing. Like, would you do it, or would you want to stay indie?
Oh, I would do it. I mean, if I had the chance to play Jason in the studio film, in a heartbeat, I would do it free. It's like I'd be all over it. But I also would like to keep with indie films. I like the freedom of indie films. I still volunteer for a lot of small projects, 48-hour films and other indie films. I just do it for free because I just love it. And so I would just do both.
That's cool. I've never gotten both.
Yeah. You have the spectrum of the pop culture fan base, because I think we talked about this earlier. Not only are you Jason, you've also been Darth Vader and some other endeavors. So how dare you monopolize the pop culture fan base? Share the wealth, damn it.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You've been Darth Vader.
Taking over the big guy.
I can't think. I mean, the horror genre and then the pop culture. Yes, tell us how you did.
I need to know about.
Tell us the story.
So I did some Darth Vader work for Lucasfilm for a bit, and it was it started off with there's a group called the 501st, and they're like this worldwide known fan base, a group of fans that come together, and they have movie accurate costumes, and they do a lot of charity work. And then from that point, Lucasfilm kind of adopted them, and then you could audition for Lucasfilm at one point and be on their roster. And so I was on their roster, and so I got to go to events. I was on TV shows and a couple of movies where they needed a Darth Vader character in the background, and not actually Darth Vader himself as a Star Wars, in the Star Wars universe, but and then events and concerts where you go introduce, like Yellow Card. They were big Star Wars fans, I guess, and so I went to a stadium and introduced them. Weird Al Yankovic, I performed with him 4 or 5 times. So yeah, it was a pretty fun gig.
That is pretty amazing.
Yeah, we I guess we got the monopoly right there.
I definitely need to. I need to be more like him.
Yes.
So do I. Yeah.
So
When I grow up, I want to be a lot like me.
So now for Jason, are you, because you said that you create a whole lot of like costumes and stuff like that, did you create your whole entire Jason getup?
I did. When I came on to Mythos, that was one thing. They were like, "Oh, what are your sizes?" They were trying to put something together, and I've been doing costumes for a while and props, and I offered to do the costume myself because I knew that I could do a good job, and wasn't sure who they had on board or what was going on. They were like, "Yeah, if you want to, that'd be great." So I did, and then it's just kind of evolved from there. So then when it became Vengeance, we made a new costume, which I designed and put together, and then Vengeance 2, same thing. And with Vengeance 2, it was a lot more complex. So as far as building it, I had some help with this amazing artist from Brazil named Marcio Charlie, who helped do some of the prosthetics and pieces there. So, but the cloth parts and the other hard parts was me. So. And I did the same thing with Vengeance. I was the costume designer. So like Elias, CJ's costume, and everyone else, I'm the one who designed that, put that together.
Well, I mean, it looks amazing on film. As we were saying, the connotation isn't nearly what it used to be. I mean, you can have, the cast, the production. I mean, as we were saying, if I didn't know any better, it was, it's like an official sequel, right? That was released in the movies. So besides being here at Tidewater, we actually are streaming worldwide with several different our channels. And one question just came in.
Actually, it's more a comment versus a question.
Or a comment just came in.
So it says, Jason Brooks, I met you Friday. You're a great guy. That was the first one. And the second one just came in. It says, good day from Perth, Western Australia.
Oh, hey.
So we are hitting all points of the world with this. So I, like Mike said, for people watching virtually, if you have a question or a comment for Jason, please get them up in the comments and we'll get to them as soon as we can. As far as the people that are here in the panel room, let's say maybe like 3 or 4 more minutes, we can open up the Q&A in the panel room if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah, we're good with that.
I mean, well, our host and co-host are taking it away, man. You guys are just killing it up there. I just make my job easy.
Australia, though, we made it.
We made it down under. Wait. Isn't it way past that bedtime?
Jason Brooks rocks!
Yeah, that's
Taylor.
Paul Taylor, Pinhead, wearing his Vengeance shirt today.
Well, I like how he ran in and ran out, though, because we would have dragged him up on the stage, right?
Oh, yeah. I was going to go right
He
in.
knows better.
I'm done here.
Was it so one of these films you were with both Steve Dash and CJ Grant? Was it intimidating being, sharing the stage with 2 previous Jasons? Did you get teased at all from them? Did they put you through the unofficial hazing initiation to take the mantle? What was that like?
I fully expected that to happen, and it didn't. So,
because we would have done that. That
Yeah.
was us. We would have been like, "Hey, welcome to the club."
right? No, for sure. The first time I met CJ was at his house. I flew down to Nevada, drove to Kingston, Arizona, and I remember knocking on his door and just waiting for him to answer and thinking, I'm at CJ's house. Like, people pay a lot of money to go to conventions, to get his autograph, to go see him, talk to him, and here I am on his doorstep. He opened the door, welcomed us in. He was the sweetest guy ever. And ever since that moment, he's kind of taken me under his wing. And as I was leaving his house that day, after talking to him, we did an interview, which is on YouTube and all that. But as we're leaving, he said, I'm really proud of you. I think this is really great what you're doing. I'm really excited for this project. And I think you're going to do good. I can't wait. We're going to, he says, one day you'll be doing conventions. to be doing panels and doing all this stuff. And I said, no, I was like,
And now Australia is watching.
and now Australia's watching. And I said, no, you're a real Jason. I'm just, fan film. He's like, stop. I don't want to ever hear those words come out of your mouth again. Okay. He said, are you putting on this uncomfortable costume? Yeah. Are you wearing it for multiple hours a day? Yeah. Doing your own stunts? Yeah. Making a feature film? Yeah. Yeah. And he says, you're doing the same freaking thing I did. But you're doing more. You're doing props, you're doing costumes. And he says, so you're putting more effort in than I did. I don't want to hear that from you again. As far as I'm concerned, you're a real Jason. You belong on the stage with us. And I said, wow, that was pretty cool. And then same thing when I met Steve Dash, first time meeting him was at his house in Florida. He wasn't well enough at the time to fly. We didn't realize how unwell he was. But we flew down to his house and stayed in his house for several days while we shot down in Florida. And his first words to me was, Jesus, you're a big son of a bitch. I think you're bigger than CJ. And he says, you're too big to be Jason. Because he's 5'11". And, but he, in the couple days while we're there, he called me over one day. And he's in the living room and I'm sitting on his couch. He's like, Jason, come here. I want to talk to you. I was like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. Steve Dash, he's got his personality. He's very, very New York and he's got this persona. So I was like, oh, what did I do? So I go sit with him and he's like, can I give you some advice? And I said, please, I love your advice. He says, I've seen all your interviews. I've seen you talk. I know you've researched all of us. You talked about how you've spent 36 hours going through interviews of all of us former Jasons, trying to research how we think and what we do and what we move. And I did. I really cared. I wanted to not only mimic their movements, but I wanted to know what was in their head while they're doing it so that I could kind of do the same thing and really show respect to the role. And he said, so with all that, I've seen you're watching movies again, did all this stuff. If I could tell you anything, throw that shit away. Just be done with it and get it out of your head. And he said, Ted White, you think he looked at me to do his performance? Do you think that CJ looked at Ted? Do you think that Kane cared what CJ did? No. Everyone was their own Jason, and that's what made them all special. That's why everyone has their favorite Jason. That's what sets every movie apart, and that's what makes them unique. He says, I want you to be the first Jason Brooks Jason, and just do you. And I was like, wow, that takes a lot of pressure off, but then also has a lot of pressure. And so I did, and I remember being on set on the first day we were starting to film as Jason from that point, and just like in my head remembering what Steve said, I was like, okay, just let it go. And I did. And so, and from that point, the reviews and everything I see online is like, wow, Jason Brooks did a really good job. He encapsulates all these other Jasons. I like how he moves like Kane here. I like CJ here. I see Ted White there. And so all these comments were really, it felt good to kind of see this and see that I let it go and did my own thing. And I was not being compared necessarily to these other actors. So, and he had also said the same thing in that as far as I'm concerned, you are on stage with us going forward. I want you to be there with us. You are one of us. And he also took me under his wings and didn't, he flipped a lot of crap to me, and during the time, because that's what he does, but out of fun, but not about being Jason, just because, being buddies and all that. So I really cherish that time spent with him at his house. And of course, a couple weeks after that, he passed. But it was a life-changing experience for sure. But they were super kind, and they all have been.
I would say that I agree with them, or maybe even step above, because like with indie films, like you said, you have to put a whole lot into indie films. You don't have this big production that's going to say, "Oh, here's $2 million, go make a movie." This, you have to get a whole entire group of people, and all of you have to do it, from costumes to script to shooting to everything. To me, I feel like there's like way more heart and soul in an indie film. So yeah, you deserve to be up there just like the rest of them.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, have you ever had the chance yet to talk to Kane?
Online, yes, but not in person yet. So there's been a couple of times. He was supposed to be in the first Vengeance, and he was going to be the lead prisoner. But then SAG rules and different things like that, he wasn't able to do it. So but he's talked about that. There's been some interviews where he's like, yeah, I was supposed to be in there, it didn't work out. But there's been a couple moments where he'll respond online and he'll tease me here a little bit here and there. But then also with the Roseblood, when the Roseblood trailer came out, I'm portraying his version of Jason, which is the Part 7 Jason, and very iconic. And he actually, I should post it sometime, but he wrote, it was very kind. It's like, wow, you did a really good job. And which I was very surprised by, because he does like to bust balls. So
Kane is known to do that.
I
He's known to do that.
just did a movie with him a week ago, so he does.
Mhm.
He was a lot of fun on set.
yeah, for sure. So I was surprised by the kindness in the comment, not expecting that. So it was very appreciated.
Mhm.
So anybody have questions at all? Go for it.
So what you're doing now and everything you've accomplished, go back to when you were coming out of high school. Does it match what you thought you'd be doing?
Absolutely not. When I was in high school, I thought I was going to be an architect. I took like 6 years of drafting, architecture, and all that, AutoCAD, and I really thought I was going to go to Arizona, go to school, become an architect, and that dream quickly got squashed when I realized how much it cost to go to school to be an architect, and so then just kind of started living day to day. But I'd always, no matter what I did for a living, no matter where I worked, I always had some sort of creative undertone going on in the background. If it wasn't at work, it was at home, doing stuff. I'd still make costumes, I do cosplay. I'd go to conventions as a fan and wear things, and then work at the haunted house, like I said. So I always wanted to be in movies. I always loved the idea of movies, and I thought I'd do special effects maybe, or helping with special effects, because I'd always watch behind the scenes and how did they do that? How'd they do that? And I was fascinated by that. And so I got involved with local independent films and just kind of volunteered my time and helped with them with special effects or costumes or whatever I could do. And but never thought that I'd get this kind of level where I'd be traveling around and talking to people like you and you. So it's been really cool. Yeah, I just kind of did it for the love, and I remember talking to several people on Mythos and just how excited I was. It was like 12 degrees outside in the mountains of Idaho, and everyone's freezing cold and miserable. It was like 3 a.m. And I was just like, I'm having a good time. This is where I want to be. I don't want to be doing anything else. And I love it. And in spite of the elements, and with vengeance, everyone who did it for the right reasons. They wanted to make something wonderful, and everyone was happy to be there and had a love for the franchise, and that's what made it special too. So it just, because of that and that energy of everyone coming together to do something together like that, I think is what helped make it successful, because it was all for the right reasons.
Was horror always your first love, that genre?
No, my first was like sci-fi, Star Wars, and comedies, and horror I kind of got into in my teens, probably 12, 13 years old. So I was exposed to horror early on, except for once. When I was 8 years old, I was happy to be being babysat during Halloween, and Halloween was on HBO, and the babysitter was watching it, and she let me kind of sneak in with her and watch Halloween. But after that, I wasn't exposed to any more horror until about 12 years old, when I got a library card and started renting VHSs. So
It's those days.
I've heard of VHS, right?
yeah,
No, I love VHS. Oh,
Yeah.
dead.
Did. We did.
Now it's dead, but yeah, definitely.
You're able to rent VHS tapes. My exposure was sneaking down in the middle of the night to turn on the staticky channels to watch horror late at night. That was my exposure, and then I got in trouble for that. So I should have gone your route.
yeah, get a library card.
That probably would have been a lot better.
Probably.
Does anybody else have any questions? Is there any questions coming in over on the interwebs?
I don't see nothing yet.
Oh, what you got?
All right, Mr. Voorhees. Have you ever felt yourself going into character outside of your costume?
No. It's funny.
So good, he's not a serial killer.
I think that's what she's trying to get at.
Or like if I was out and about the store, pissed off, someone's in front of me, like taking a while, or something happened, meaning try not to just go crazy and just stay calm. I guess I just kind of added myself on that one. I'd probably be guilty of that.
No, I mean, I'm human. I get angry and stuff, but I'm pretty mellow, pretty chill. Like a lot of things don't affect me too much. Just a few things do, and I get mad, but then I'm an adult and I get over it, you know. But it's funny because getting into character, I get that a lot. Like, what do you do to get into character before these kills? Do you get angry? Like some people talk about listening to metal music and they go, you know, and I think back and it's like everything is happening so fast on set. You know, you're getting a costume, you're running out there, that it's like so technical, and you're just hurry up and wait. Now you're standing there for 10 minutes while things are getting set and the lighting's being tweaked, and then it's like, okay, ready, we block it out. Like you do 10, 15 times, depending on if it's a stunt, even more. Like we're rehearsing to make sure things are safe, and then when you finally get a chance to do the scene they call action, it's almost muscle memory and robotic, and you're going through this, and then some of it's very technical, like, okay, I got to move this way so that people are safe, and I got to do this so that I don't hit this, and then also while thinking, move my head, breathe a certain way, stand a certain position, and big movements so that it looks right, and so it all becomes very technical. And I remember on Vengeance and a little bit on Roseblood, I thought to myself, I'm going to try to get in that angry place for a moment and see what happens. You know, so I'm sitting there thinking, okay, be angry. Who do I hate? Who am I mad at? And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm playing Jason Voorhees. This is freaking awesome. I'm not angry at all. You know, so it's hard. It's hard to get in that angry place for me and do that. So getting into character is kind of a weird thing. But when I do put the suit on, there's something that switches over a little bit, and I can start getting the body language different and get a different energy going. But it's hard to pull off when I don't have the suit on. So
going into music, is there a type of music you listen to kind of like chill out, get ready for the role, stuff like that?
Yes, there is. I like all kinds of music, like all over the board, and probably be surprised at some of the stuff I listen to. But to me, it's like I don't care what genre it is. If it speaks to me in some way, I like it, and which is different because growing up in the 80s and stuff is like, oh, if you like this, then you're lame. If you like this, you're lame. But you can only like one genre at a time. So I broke out of that at some point in my adulthood and haven't gone back. But when I'm trying to get into the mood or something, I usually listen to like Devil Driver or something a little heavier. And yeah, I do like some metal and I do like some heavier stuff, but
I love Devil Driver.
yeah.
Des hates me though. That's a story for another time.
Maybe for the R-rated show later.
Yeah.
I think we just had a question come in from one of our channels.
Yeah, it says, since you wanted to go into design and also create costumes, have you thought about merging the two and getting into 3D printing for intricate costume parts and weapons?
I thought about it, and my son, he makes costumes now too. He's extremely talented, and in many ways more talented than me. He made the masks for the films, and for the last ones he like made them, painted them, and all that. And he helped with some of the costume stuff, and he actually sells them. Also sells the replicas online. It was by Monkey Bar Fight, and a lot of people don't know he's my son, but he does a lot of really amazing work. And so I've taught him things that I know. I've learned a couple things from him. But we got a 3D printer. We got a lot of casting materials, and we just got to do a lot of work together. But I think as I'm going on and moving through life, I'm getting away a little bit more from the costume building, and it's becoming more of a chore than an exciting thing anymore. So I kind of like, hey man, can you help me do this? Can you go make a few masks? What do you think about painting this for me? And he'll do it because he's awesome. But yeah, I think it's fun. There's elements to it, but then I'm just bad with details and follow through on that stuff. So yeah.
So within film, what is your prefer? Do you prefer to be the actor? Do you think you would want to get into directing, producing, editing, anything like that?
Yeah, I've done directing. I've done all those. And I think after trying it all, I do prefer acting. I kind of would love to just show up as an actor one day. Because like I said, on Vengeance, I did acting, producing. Like you look at the credits in Vengeance, and like my name shows up every other name, basically. And in Roseblood, I showed up as an actor, but I also did some work to build some of the props and some of the elements in there, and then some of the kills and the effects. With Vengeance 2, I directed it, co-wrote it, and produced it. It was so much work, and so I didn't get a chance to kind of stop and enjoy any moment of it, where it was just constantly go, and responsibility nonstop. So even in costume, building props or building effects or doing something and directing, it was a lot. So I think to do it again, I might choose one or the other.
My next one is, and I ask this to everybody that I ever interview. How do you feel with CGI versus practical effects?
I prefer practical. I think CGI has its place if it can enhance practical effect. If there's something that you cannot accomplish through practical well or realistically, and it needs that, like we have one CGI effect in Vengeance, and it's the Bugsy kill. So, spoiler alert. But the top of his head gets cut off, and you can't really do that practically the way we shot it.
I'll say you could, but not probably get in trouble afterwards.
Not legally.
Legally, right? It looked good, but then
we still needed him for some other scenes.
The whole pesky legal, thing afterwards would not be fun.
Yeah. So, but that particular kill we couldn't do practical the way we shot it. So that one had to be a digital effect. And then there'll be some digital enhancements with some kills, just to kind of like hide a cable or hide some things and kind of make it so that it looks right. But the effect itself is actually practical.
Did we just have another comment come in?
Well, no, it was my comment.
Oh, that was your comment.
What
Yeah.
you got, Ben?
I put my hand up. You don't pay attention to me. The hell with you all. So no, I just
I wanted to get to the important questions first. Then
He pays attention to you. I don't pay attention to you.
I just want to spin it back real quick and make an announcement that Jason will be in costume in less than an hour in the photo ops area for photo ops. So at 1:25, they moved the time to, so that you had time to get ready. So for anybody that is watching that's on their way, anybody here in the panel room, make sure you head over to photo ops about 1:25 and get a killer picture with a killer. I mean,
I like what you did there.
you like that? A little play on words, I mean,
keep them around.
listen, where else can you pay somebody to choke slam you?
I get chokeslammed for free, unfortunately, by
Yeah, but that's by women. We're not talking that. We're talking about somebody that's actually famous for those
I
types
would
of
say
things.
that's in a better
Right,
way. 'Cause
listen. Don't make me shut your mic off. All right, so go ahead back to, sorry, I just wanted to make that announcement before we forgot.
Oh, thank you.
So obviously Jason Voorhees is your breakout character in the horror genre. If you could do another iconic character in the genre, or what would be our ideal character if you could in a film? Well, so stick with the horror genre. If you could pick any role, what would you choose?
So, outside of an original character or role, I would love to play Toxic Avenger, or
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see that.
You are
I
now
could
the
see that.
coolest motherfucker on the
And
planet.
how dare you?
Right?
How dare you take off Toxic Avenger, Jason, Darth Vader? Now, goals complete. That was me. I'm done. Nothing else to do.
Oh, that's a mic drop.
Yeah.
Mic drop off the
Yeah.
stage. I'm done.
That's
Toxic
like me.
Avenger,
I grew
that's-
up Trauma was my shit. My character would not exist if it
Yeah.
was not for Trauma films.
I mean-
hear somebody go, "Hey, I want to be the Toxic Avenger." I'm like, "I love you."
Going back to the whole practical effects CGI. I mean, could you imagine that gym scene? Looking what it did if it was CGI in the first one when he. I mean, it's like CGI that shit, and it's not even close to the same.
no.
I mean, that's Toxic Avenger to get back. So okay.
Yeah, and or Michael Myers is another one. Michael Myers, that was my first horror movie ever. Like I was saying, I was 8 years old.
Sure.
Halloween, so always kind of a special place in my heart for that. But yeah, it's those. I'm Darth Vader. I'd love to play it again, and just any opportunity to do something cool, I'd be all over it.
That's what put it in Toxic Avenger. That's the coolest it
That's
gets.
pretty badass.
Yeah. When we're Trome is our, that's like our spirit.
Now,
right there.
if you could play a creature, what would it be?
A creature. I think it'd be cool to play Predator.
I was totally expecting like a werewolf, but that's pretty badass.
Oh, yeah.
Predator's an alien, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah, a werewolf would be cool. I'm playing an alien in a couple days on a movie called Zombiegeddon. Full creature suit created by Joe Castro, who's an amazing.
Oh, I know Joe
Yeah.
very well.
Yeah,
I have been on many sets with Joe.
Yep. So he's making the suit for that, and I don't know, any creatures would be good.
I always wanted to do a werewolf. Like after the scene of American Werewolf in London, because that was like my favorite werewolf movie as a kid. I was like, I want to be turned into a werewolf.
I can see that.
That is
Yeah.
badass.
I mean, it's not like creature necessarily, is it? But Frankenstein or Frankenstein's monster.
They
Frankenstein's a monster.
they counted as a creature.
Yeah.
He's a kind of monster.
That's debatable.
It sounds like you just have a love for the genre in general, which
Yeah.
is great. Really, any opportunity to play a creature, character in the horror genre. It's great to meet folks who they do the films and really just have an appreciation for the horror genre overall. Just the gratefulness and just attitude. They just love to take it all on. So yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing to see someone has a passion for the work like that.
Oh, thank you.
Go ahead. You got a question?
I have a question. I don't know if I'm gonna ask it properly. So not indie, but large production type films. Is there anything you've auditioned for that you didn't get, but it would have been like, wow, he would have been in that?
There's a couple things. One I can't talk about.
Okay.
And then another one, it was not like, well, I don't know if it was a well-known character, but it was for a Warner Brothers TV series. And it was based on something that they couldn't quite tell me about. They could tell me kind of the time frame of the genre. So I did a lot of like detective work to try to say, what is this? Like, okay, what do they own? What are the IPs that Warner Brothers owns? And but they said I was a dead ringer for this particular character in history. And so I started looking at photos online, but it's like a lot of times when you get auditions or you get calls about this kind of stuff, they don't always work out. They don't always call back. So haven't heard back on that one yet. So that's one I haven't got, I guess.
How much time we got then? 5?
Or 5 minute mark.
You actually hit that right on the button, man. You asked that and it turned.
Because I'm that fucking good.
And with that, which is perfect timing, because that's our benchmark for curse words on the PG-13 show. So we waited ahead,
I only said it.
which is good. It's the end of the show, and we got that out of the way, so we timed that perfectly.
All right, so what do you have to plug? What do you want people to see? Where can they go?
Where can fans find you at? Where do you have coming up?
Yeah, so I guess our most active accounts are like on Facebook. We have the F-13 Vengeance fan page, where we can follow the old, the first Vengeance film, also the part 2 coming up, and all the news on that. We got Roseblood, Friday the 13th fan film in there. And then it's also on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok, Jason Brooks Official, on Instagram and TikTok, and Facebook as well. Like all the social channels, it's either Jason Brooks Official or F-13 Vengeance, and or Roseblood. So,
Fantastic. That's it. Y'all go do it. Go look him up.
yeah.
And for us, we're gonna out of here. I didn't say it.
He was good.
Alluded to
I
it.
didn't say a word. I didn't say
I
a word.
just alluded to it.
Listen, we ran
Choke
the
slam
18
over
plus.
here.
We ran the 18 plus. It's all good. It's all
Okay,
good.
we're good.
There's no
We-
children in the
we
room
tried.
that I can see. We did have a couple other people walk in. Did you, by any chance, have a question for him before we close out the show?
Unfortunately, I do not.
Oh well, then the hell with it.
All right, we're going to close out for Tidewater Hangout. I think who's next? Who's next?
I think
We have
Catherine's the next, and that,
Catherine.
that closes out the day for
Yeah.
panels. But the show is still running till 4 o'clock, and like I said, get over to photo ops, get your picture taken with Jason. I mean, it's just do it. That's it. Just do it.
It's what
Don't
we
make
got.
me choke slam you.
Yeah, y'all go do that.
That's gonna happen. It's gonna happen anyway.
Listen,
I
I'm
mean,
not on camera. I mean, I come up to like his kneecap. I couldn't choke slam. Nothing. We're good.
And they can check out the films where it's on YouTube, on
YouTube.
the channel. On
Yeah,
YouTube.
go look up F-13 Vengeance on YouTube. You'll find it for free.
Sure.
And then if you want to get a Blu-ray DVD, I have it on my table. And yeah,
And where are we?
Tidewater Horror Convention,
That's right. We're
Where is that?
Norfolk, Virginia.
Somewhere that I
Oh.
know.
Couple street, yeah. North. That's what they told me, Norfolk. Yeah. So thanks for joining us, everybody, and come down to the con.
Thank you.